study. I have the class, those are like I call those who want to escape from their home country. I've had this idea even before Japa syndrome came. So there are many people, they are on Japa level. And when you want to Japa without any plan, without any aspiration, it can come back with different outcomes. The next one is, or people are doing it, or they told me to come. Maybe if you're an undergraduate student, or your wife is the one, or your husband is the one saying, "Oh yeah, go, 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 go." You to go and so when you are when maybe because people are doing it, which is still close to Japa, but more importantly, when you're being put under pressure to go and do it without you being informed yourself, again, it has implication. Then there are those who came with intention, oh, I just want to get a UK degree. And then there are those who want to get a degree with a special class. Yesterday, a student of mine reached out to me and he said, Uncle, thank you. I made a distinction. I never thought I could make a distinction. I didn't plan. But since you've been mentoring me, so one thing is when you come to the UK like this, you need to re examine your purpose of coming because it is important in how things will eventually uh, turn out. So I wish use the example of Messi, the football player, or Ronaldo, where anytime they want to play a free kick, as the opposing team they are arranging their wall, these two players they are also looking in the direction where they want the ball to go. They are doing everything, which means they have a goal. So if you don't have a goal, wherever the ball is your goal. If you and it is important that you distinguish your destination from your bus stop, which the vehicle will take you, but you have a destination where you are going. It is important to identify your destination. So on this journey, there are different things you will desire. Some people want to make friends. Somebody is out to get a husband or get a wife. Somebody says, okay, all right, change. I want to learn new things. And some people want to get a degree. One thing is you should try to get everything. You make friends because friends upon you. It's important you make good friends. Now, beyond making friends, there must be personal growth. If at the end of your degree, you are the same person who left your own country, then you've not your approach, if you've not learned anything in your class or in how you deal with people, some of us, this is going to be the first time that we're going to be studying in a multicultural environment. So, as some of us, this is the first time we're going to be learning in a multicultural environment. So, which means some personal growth needs to happen. If your plan is okay, when I finish from my degree, I need to get a work in the UK. I would like to proceed to Canada. In as much you're not going back to your own country and you want to remain where you have studied or you want to work internationally, personal growth is very important. That is what makes you an educated person. So, as much as you want to get a degree, which is the next thing, you need to have a personal growth. When you open your mouth, you must reflect the degree you've gotten. But the problem we do have is that when some people, when they
here. So I'd like you to answer this question, which is here. And okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. The quicker we do it, the better for us to not run away with the time. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Okay, all right. Okay, okay. I heard that we have 30, so I just have 6 people. Is it probably that you're not seeing the slides on the QR code? So I'll just roll it again for those who are not entered to enter. Now, why am I doing this? The purpose of this activity is just so that I can have an idea on the audience I'm speaking to, in order to be able to you specifically in the areas that will be relevant to you. So that's the purpose of this very QR code activity. Okay? And also to convey friends off to sleep when everyone's sleeping at this time. Alright. So let's do an assignment right now. 7. Okay, so it kind of works its way that I have people within my core field in this study. So business analytics, digital marketing, business management, and international video, so that we can make some sense of it. Alright?
Okay. Yeah. Which is this? No. No.
What's interesting is that it is now 25 years since.
And he was a great professor, and one of the things that he asked us to do was to write a paper. So we just had to do this. And it was more of normally I would never remember this, but I was doing a commencement address a few years ago. I was scrambling for some old things, and I found in a box this plan. And this plan had turned yellow because of age. And it was nothing, there was nothing, not a single thing on it that was after personality. Not a single thing. Zero. And I think that the lesson there is, at least for me, maybe you guys will be different, maybe you have much more insight into what you may be doing. For me, the journey was not predictable at all. And it goes sort of back to the Lincoln quote, is the only thing I believe you can do is prepare. And the world is going to change many times. The environment's going to, the companies you work for are going to ebb and flow. You may wind up in the same company, you may not. You may wind up in the same career, you may not. You may wind up with the spouse you're married to now, you may not. There are lots of things in your life. I hope that one doesn't change. But there's lots of things that change, and I think that you sort of have to have a North Star and stay with the North Star and let those things go on about you and sort of find your journey.
Okay. So there is this is my own story. I'll talk to you about career planning. I felt it would be great to kind of share my own story with you so that you can understand perspective where I'm coming from. It started just like many of you, and just like who just finished speaking as well. So I came here for master's degree, and that was in Robert Gordon University as well. And then upon finishing my master's degree, before then, I already started asking the question that what next? What is going to happen after this master's? And those questions came as a result of external factors, such as the government policy. There was this, you study and go back home. And there was just, such unfriendly international or migrant policy that was being put in place during that Theresa May, David Cameron's, Theresa May being the Home Secretary as at that time. So that question came, okay, master's is almost done, what next? What happens? And also, I looked at my qualification, I looked at the experience, I looked at what RGU has given me. I was like, is this all that is to it, really? Is there something else that I can gain out of this very system where there was no strike, where my master's was actually 1 year completed, unlike in my university in Nigeria, where my colleague spent 3 years to do masters in University of Ibadan. So it was something like, I was wondering, there are different factors that, constituted to the plans that I made. And after reviewing, going through all this, I ended up in my PhD. And for the PhD that I did as well, it has to do with availability of supervisor. I studied computer science in my master's. And so I went back to computer science. I was asking for opportunity to be supervised. And all my lecturers who were, keen about PhD supervision still had students. And as at that time, RGU was not business oriented. They were more on quality. So it was like, if you had a PhD student, you have to make sure they are all finished before you take on another one. And so Namalia, Ines, and Hatim, and all of them, they were like, we still have the students. In fact, at that time, Hatim was still a lecturer, so he wasn't yet able to supervise PhD students. And all of that happened, so I took a PhD in Robert Godin for information management. After that, I also, upon graduation, started to wonder what is going to happen. And I had two options. I've worked with Cetax Energy, worked with Genesis, and I felt, well, I think the best place for me to be is in academia. Why? Because it will give me the opportunity to look after my family, it will give me opportunity to do just that 9 to 5. In fact, within that 9 to 5, you can do only 2 hours, 3 hours of lecture, you're home or you're back in your office doing several other things. So based on this ultimate goal and all of this, I ended up there. It wasn't planned, just like what I've said. Now, you find out that when you're making your career plan, one of the great things you need to understand is that you must be prepared. The first thing I want you to know is that you must be prepared. There is no point making any career plan wherein you are not prepared. Because even if you have made that plan and opportunity shows itself, you will still not grab it. I had several opportunities that came my way during that time. I was interviewed by NHS Scotland for a big software development role, but as at that time, I wasn't keen on software and programming. I was more into my cyber security, I was more into networking and all of that. And because of that, I didn't grab that role. And so you find out that preparation is key. Once you want to develop any career path, you must be prepared. And apart from preparation, one other thing is really, really important for you. That other thing is you must be flexible. You must be flexible. And if you also have listened carefully to the video we just watched, you find out that things are changing. Every industry, every field is changing. And so you need more skills. This is not the time for you to say, I only came here to learn business analytics, I only came here to learn digital marketing, so I just stick to digital marketing. No, you need to go with the trend. You need to flow with whatever is happening. Metaverse is happening, blockchain is happening. You need to know what it is about. You need to just expand your skill. It is from this expansion of skill that you can be able to utilize opportunities when they show themselves. All right? So in order to do this, I have these 4 hours of career planning. Number one is you need to reflect. Identify your personal goals. Audit your skills. What is it that you know how to do? What is it that you don't know how to do? What is it that you're competent of? So the next thing will then be to research. All right? So identify areas for personal development. Oh, all right, I would like to be in this very role. I would like to be a Scrum Master, a product owner. I would like to be a project manager. The question now is, what are the skills that you need in order to do that role? What do you know currently as you are? As you are all seated there, if you do your skill audit, what is it that you know now? I know definitely at this point everyone will be, looking for a job, looking up and down, trying to grab one job or the other. But I want to encourage you skill audit, because once you have done the skill audit, you can be able to identify areas of gap, and then you begin to prep yourself in order to cover that gap. And by so doing, once you see an opportunity show itself, you will utilize it. And you will be able to be happy for yourself and for your family that will also be proud that they sent you abroad. The other thing, again, you need to do reach out to people. Don't just sit within your comfort zone. Don't just sit within the I know it all mentality from Nigeria. No, reach out to people. And that was why I said, pocket your pride. This is not Nigeria. Reach out. Pocket your pride. Nobody cares whether your daddy is the chairman of that local government or your father is the manager of that bank. It doesn't work here. So what you need to do is pocket your pride. Reach out to people, ask them for the way. How do you guys do it here? What is the way to go about this? How can I do this? How can I do that? This is what I'm trying to get, but I don't know how to go about it. All this will be very, very key to you building a solid career plan for yourself. And once you have done that, then you need to react. You need to take action. You need to review your plans, and then you need to make changes where that is necessary. I can get the notice that it is my time, so just 2 minutes, because as you know, we all run late, so it will be difficult not to catch up in 2 minutes. So 2 minutes, I'll be done. Now, the other thing you need to do is make sure you pause. While you are pausing, create a very fantastic SMART goal. I will share this slide with all of you, and you can be able to read it again and see some of the ideas that I wanted you to discuss. One thing that I wanted you to do here was to pick a pen while you are seated there and answer this question. What do you want to achieve at the end of your current study? What is it that you want to achieve? Yeah? So you write it down following the SMART framework. And then you ask yourself, what do you want to achieve before the end of your study? Now, there are different things that you can achieve. You can become certified even as you are still studying. You can also begin to learn some skills. For those in digital marketing and business analytics, there are different skills you can begin to acquire. HubSpot, how to do content marketing, how to do SEM, SEO, all of these things, you begin to learn them, all right? And that way, you're already making a great plan for yourself. So, lastly, the next thing I want you to do is to find job titles that align with your goal. When you find a job title and look at the job description, you can match your skill with them. And say, okay, this is what this job is looking for. Within this described roles and description, how to this idea. Unstoppable. Why not use the opportunity and learn? Learn as much as for your career. All right. So that's all that I feel with the time that we need to cover in order for creative platform for self. So, and whatever, and go right again. And with that, you know that you have abilities that you have coming here in the space. You understand? You have that you want. Please use contacts that will do best to answer you with appropriate time for now. Very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thank you very much. We of this means the four have other things that as like you know, I used to work with one company that was about 5-6 years, and it was a particular we had a gap in among it, and we expected to share share, exchange cards or gifts among us. One of the gifts I wrote that college worker, yeah, because that's what I don't need. I just wear and everybody knows and network, get it, understand person, get contacts and do it. I want to just network. You learn how to nourish your network, people you network, how do you grow the contact. So that's important for us to. Okay, so without much time, I'd like to also is also about sexual relation, very important.
But I want to talk to you about very practical. I work at the University of 40% of my job is research, so it's a research job. But 40% is also teaching, so I teach undergraduate medical master's students and I supervise PhD. 10% is now doing what all lectures at the Anyway, so I want to talk to you about the lecturer relationship. Relation lecturer and students. I mean, you as a student, what should your relationships of relationships that can obtain? So you can have a lecturer that is teaching you on a course, just somebody that comes in, gives you a lecture, or conducts a seminar. And then you have at a higher level a coordinator. So maybe it is in charge of the course. Then you have the program coordinator. You're doing seminar. You take the person who is in charge of your MSc accounting. And then you have different degrees. So for the graduate students, you do degrees, very many different courses, but then they see who is of your degree. All these people may all be the same person. In fact, unlikely to person, but know them. I want to don't mean know this is the name of my lecture. And I'll explain what I mean. For a lecturer that's class to give you a lecture, he or she, and you know what they expect. That's why I think it was Daniel that mentioned it, or was it Dr. Buki that mentioned it, that I think if nothing else, I tell my students when I come to class, maybe the first few lectures, I tell them that if you attend my class, you will know what I'll ask you in the exam. It's as simple as that. You will know because I'll talk about it. And when I'm lecturing, I say, take note of this. And once I say that, you know, that once I say take note of this, it's because I will ask. So lecturers are different. Their approaches are different. But generally, them, and you know them, then you know what their expectations are. So it's very important. And then know the course coordinator, because the course coordinator generally is the admin person that troubleshoots, you know, if you have issues with the course, that's the person you go and meet. That's your contact. And then the program coordinator, who is involved, who coordinates your, those are things that need to be scaled up or need to be escalated, and then they deal with. Many, yes, some courses that they teach and lecture, but they do most of the administrative work. And these people you must know. So that's on one hand. On the other hand, you have supervisors. So I know there are a number of PhD students here, maybe taught masters, research master's students. So you're more dealing with your supervisor than with people who come and teach you. Your supervisor, or primary supervisor, and if you have other supervisors on the supervisory team. You need to know them, you need to know their expectations. You need to know how to work, because in your interaction it's important. On Friday, I was conducting an assessment for some of our students, and after the assessment, the student got to me, and she was complaining that she knows she has failed this one. That how can I help? That what can I do? And I asked her, I said, what do you want me to do? In the back of my mind, I knew exactly what she was asking. She wasn't bold enough to ask me. She wanted private tutorials. So I just told her, I said, look, as much as I would like to, there are 250 of you in this class. Each for that, I count it, you know. You need to approach it and look at different of view as well. They have jobs to do. Seeing you is not the only thing that we do. We have jobs that take up far more of the planning for the team. Research and without lecturer, your supervisor, it has to be with a specific aim. Don't go to the lecturer just to have a chat. You need to ask yourself, what do I want to gain from this interaction? Why am I going to see this person, or why am I approaching this person? What do I want to get from it? And make sure you don't get what you need. I was speaking before we started this meeting with some people that here many of us come from. You don't look your teacher in the eye. Your head is down. You're always going to babysit you. Nobody's going to feed. So anything you need, you have to then ask. And generally speaking, I mean, I know there are different personalities and different outlooks, but generally speaking, your lecturer and your supervisor, that's their job. Their job is to help you. So don't be afraid to approach people. Put aside that fear. Ask questions. Ask the stupidest question. If you think it's a stupid question, still ask it. If you knew everything about the course you are doing, you won't be in school. You won't need to be in school. So the fact that you are asking questions means there are things you don't know. But always have an aim. Don't, because it will more be a waste of your time. If you are talking, if the lecturer starts talking about something, you don't even know what he or she is talking about. If you don't have an aim of what you want to get. So that's, in a nutshell, because I know I don't have much time, it's the kind of relationship you should have is one of focus. What do I want from this? Write it down even, that this is what I want. I see students from time to time who come to me for consult, and they have questions about their project, about their thesis. And many times I say, this question you are asking me, I'm the wrong person. It's your supervisor you should be asking. But for some reason, they don't want to go and ask the supervisor. And many times I'm wondering why. That's your supervisor's job. It's their job to help you through a project. If you have questions, if you see there are many supervisors, maybe because they travel or they are not on ground, write down your question one by one, put it in an email, send it to them. Document what you have done. Once it's written down, you can say, okay, these are the things that I need to know. These are the areas I need help, or these are the areas I need clarification. Send those information, and then they can respond. The main thing I'll just say about this is don't be afraid to ask, please. Do not sit in your corner. And because many times there have been students I've seen who sat in their corner brooding and being very sad. Months later, they'll come and meet me 2 weeks before submission of thesis, and they lay down a whole host of problems. I said, what do you want me to do? 2 weeks to deadline. It's too late. So start early, plan. Remember, your lecturers are human beings. They will have their foibles. They'll have their they'll have things, different things about them. But they're human beings, and like I said, they're there to help you make use of them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nwabo. Those are very practical examples and approaches you've given us. That's very important. I see question, something on ask the most stupidest question. Yeah, and I can remember when I had my master's and my lecturer was asking us in class. No, we had a training on digestion that happens in the human body across different age groups. And I didn't know it, and then I asked, and I said, why do children eat more than they require? Or why do they always want to eat? I just asked the question the way it is in my heart, and some of the classmates were laughing at me, right? By the time the woman answered the question, they were also all surprised at the answers. They just also know it. So it was actually also an opportunity for them to learn. But it sounded like it was a stupid question. But it was actually an important answer that I got, from her. Okay, so please, that's very important. Let's not forget to put our questions together. We're going to ask questions as soon as we finish these sessions. Okay, I would like to also now bring on Dr. Lolija. Right? Did I pronounce it wrong? Apologies, please. And she's going to take us through on getting the best in your academics. Please, can we put a hand together for her, please?
Good everyone. Can you please sit down?
Please do.
I've got slides, but I don't think I'm just using it as a guide to have a conversation because I think most of the points have actually been touched already. So,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So, like I said, my name is Wulia Kaga, or Kaye, as it's pronounced. My academic journey, basically, I studied at the University of Glasgow, management, and then I worked a bit, and then I moved to the University of Manchester for my PhD, and my PhD was in development policy and management. I did that for 3 years and 10 months. And then I also kind of got a part-time job with a charity. And then when I finished that, I got a job back at the University of Manchester. So that was where I got my first professional job as a lecturer. So I was there for a year, or was it almost 2 years, I can't even remember. And then I moved to Liverpool John Moss University. And I was there for, I think about 5 years, 4.5, 5 years or thereabout. And then I recently moved to Edinburgh Napier. That is where I am currently, and hoping to move again to join Dr. Dolapo at the University of Aberdeen. So I've moved about a bit, exactly. I've moved about a bit. So I've just kind of tried to bring up some points and based on my experiences as a student, as well as having to, lecture students as well. So one of the points which I think was Dr. Bukola that kind of dealt on it was around assessments. I can see that a lot of people are from different backgrounds, so there's engineering, cybersecurity, computer management, and things like that. So just like Dr. Dolapo said, that there are everyone is different, lectures are different. But I think from my experience across these different universities, one of the things I know is that lecturers tend to tell you what the assessment is about. And they do that from the very beginning. But one of the challenges that we find, my experience with students, so I'm talking postgraduate as well as undergraduate, not necessarily PhD, is that even with all the instructions, with all the guides, you find out that at the end of the day, students still struggle with regards to answering the question and actually getting their grades. So what I tend to do as a lecturer is when I start a lecture, I tend to get the students to think about what is your goal for this module, for example. So if you're doing organizational behavior, what do you aim to get at the end of the day? And if you're aiming for 70%, there's a marking criteria that tells you what you need to do to get 70%. So it's up to you. It's not really up to the lecturer. It's up to you to actually follow that, to be able to guide yourself, to be able to attain that. So if you don't attain that, at the end of the day, ask yourself, why didn't you attain it? I was speaking to a colleague of mine yesterday, and he was trying to say, as a lecturer, he does everything possible to ensure that his students pass. But at the end of the day, you find out that that's not necessarily the reality, because some students, just like, I don't know who spoke about it, if it was Dr. Buki, that most students tend to do the work at the tail end. I'm guilty of it as well. Even as a lecturer, I still, like recently I was on a program, an MA program I was trying to do for academic advancement course. And I found out that because of the commitments you have, sometimes you struggle to actually plan your time. But at the end of the day, it's about you planning, because yes, sometimes you have family, you have work, and you have other commitments that you have to like still tick the boxes and achieve. So it's about how you plan your time to be able to ensure that, okay, at the end of the day, I don't want to be doing a crash program. I want to be able to attain my goal, which is to be able to get a distinction or a merit in this certain model. So it's what you do that actually determines the outcome. So that's that around assessment that I just wanted to kind of like highlight. If you want to kind of move the slide, please, so I can remember what I put up there. Thank you. So there's so much I can talk about, so I don't want to. Okay, so you can go to the next slide. Talked about that word. Yeah, so in terms of, I think this is very key. I mean, a lot of us, we have our phones, we're constantly on our phones doing a lot of things. I think the life of any human being, not necessarily being a student, but student is kind of very peculiar. Your life is really about researching more information, trying to know. Said the more you know that you need. So that's why you keep needing to know. Knowledge is power. So it's about how you research. It's not the research, it's how you research as well. Information out. Are you getting the right information? Are you getting relevant information? Are you getting what you needed, what you're looking for? What I try to put up here, even in your day job, not just researching for your coursework. So for example, you're doing that you're researching, but you're also researching for, we talked about the career, because you have to think about your part as well. I love what I'm saying about, to be honest, it's not sometimes predictable. It's not really how you set it on paper that it actually pans out. So it's about how you do the research that you realize what is really relevant for you for the time, and then it can actually help you to course correct or realign yourself if you have to as you go along as well. As well as visas. So some of us here, sometimes you think about, I remember my own pathway. When I came to do my master's, I wasn't necessarily planning to stay back in the UK. I remember then the company I was working for, my line manager was like, so are you coming back? I was like, yes. And she was like, really? I was like, yeah. I didn't have that plan to say, oh yeah, I'm going to the UK and then I'm not coming back. But at the end of the day, sometimes when you find yourself, depending on what your plan is, you need to do that research to know. Because, for example, the visa laws are always changing. I think it was Dr. Buki that was talking about back then in his time when he was studying. There was 20 hours, and then sometimes, I think in previous years, 20 hours was the restriction, but it wasn't so, they weren't so restricted in terms of sometimes you could overshoot it and nothing will happen. But what I hear now is that if you do that, they could actually cancel your visa. So at the end of the day, you have to keep yourself up to date with what's happening even in that space. Also thinking about work as well. We talk about your career plan. You're not just wanting to study and what happens after that. So you have to keep researching. You have to keep finding out the right information. I keep telling people, don't just stick with your silos. It's great to have good network with yourself. So you've got the Nigerian community, but you can't get every information you need from that community. So you have to go beyond that community and then try to find out. So sometimes it's about you identifying those networks that you might actually need. This is a very good place to actually start in terms of Creed. They set up things, you come here, you meet people. You go to school, you meet people. Some of you are actually working, you meet people. Sometimes you have to look for the network yourself. Myself, when I was in school, what we used to do is, because I've always liked academic anyways, so I kind of always want to look out for all those seminars and meetings that they organize, and I would go for them. I continued like that even with my PhD. Sometimes I would leave, I was doing my PhD in Manchester, I would leave Manchester and go to another city just to attend a seminar. It could be a 1-hour seminar. But at the end of the day, you're building the network that you actually need beyond that time or beyond that space. So those are some things that you can actually also do as well. Your local community, you're in Aberdeen, so you also need to know what's happening in the city. What are the things I can actually get myself involved with voluntarily? It doesn't necessarily have to be paid work all the time. When I was doing my own, when I finished my PhD, like I said, I did my PhD in Manchester. I came to Aberdeen to work for a charity. I wasn't being paid. It was a charity I was working for. My first job in Manchester, it was a fixed contract, but if you calculate the pay, it was like £250 per month, and I was living in Aberdeen. My transport to Manchester was more than £250. In fact, I remember a friend of mine saying, why would you even take that job? But for me, it was all about the experience. Unfortunately, I was able to do that, and I got my first major job in the same Manchester. Like, they literally created the job because of me. So they were like, okay, well, we need you to come back, so we have to create this current job, post it, advertise it, get people to come for the interview. By the end of the day, we know that we want you to have the job. Yes, it does happen. So there was interviews. At the end of the day, of course, there were other people that they were felt like, oh, these people are also good. So what they had to do was employ 2 people, myself and somebody else, but they had to get us into the company at the end of the day. So those are some of the sacrifices sometimes you have to. It's not all about the money. It's about how do you build a network, how do you build the career path as well. Next slide, please. So I've talked about network. I think literally a lot of people have said so much about network today. So I think it's something that we just need to keep in our heads. I've just listed out some church, community, school, work, career, professionals, finding the networks yourself, and then reaching out beyond your silos, as in not just the people that you know. You need to break out of those silos as well. So you could move to the next slide, please. Yeah, dealing with culture shock. I don't really know if Africans really deal with culture shock. I had to whisper that. I don't really know if we really, but yeah, I think what it is more about know what is expected of you within your new community. So in terms of when you move somewhere, the cultures are different. Like you literally have to have an understanding of what is expected. And interestingly, so for example, I think it was Dr. Omele that was talking about planning and then being prepared. Like I said, when I initially came, I wasn't really planning, oh yeah, I'm in the UK now, I want to stay back. I'm planning for the 10-year career route, but 10-year visa route. But I just found myself that at some point I was like, okay, well, I've already stayed here this number of years, I can as well apply for this. And you find out that even some of the things that is required, it's about how much you know about your community and how much you've actually put into your community. So I think it's something that we have to, as a people coming from a different culture, you just need to know what is expected of me in this community. How do people act? It's not necessarily assimilating to say, oh, I forget about myself and my personality and adapt completely. No, it's about you having the ability to understand what applies and then also not being a nuisance, if I should use that word, but actually adding to the community. Because when you get to that point of, if you're planning to stay in the UK and you get to that point of having your citizenship, those are some questions they actually ask in terms of how do you intend to add value to the community as well. So I think those are some things that from the beginning we have to have it at the back of our mind and prepare for it, as opposed to waiting for yourself to get to that 5-year route or 10-year route and you decide, oh, okay, now I think I want to be a citizen and this is what's required, but I haven't actually attained, or I've not actually ticked the boxes. So I think that's just something that we need to, I don't know, has anybody actually had culture shock since they came? You wouldn't just recognize it. I'm sure we do actually, like it's something that because we kind of like, we're very good at covering stuff, we may not have really noticed that this is actually culture shock, but I think it's a reality for people regardless of. So I think it's just something that maybe when you start talking with people, you realize, oh wow, I was surprised at that, and that's actually culture shock, but I think we overcome it faster than some other people would do anyways. So I think it's at the end of the slide. Oh yeah, so yeah, continuous planning. I think it's, even if you didn't have a plan from the beginning, say you came, like I think it was Dr. Buki that was talking about different classes of people, that some people come and they don't have a plan, or some people come and they plan that, okay, this is my escape route, or some people come and they plan that I want to get a degree. Whatever your plan is, even if you didn't have a plan from the beginning, or you had a plan, you always have to continue planning. There is no, oh yeah, I've arrived and so my plans stop. You have to continue planning. You have to recognize your real issues. So for example, when I came in as a student, I was obviously single. I didn't really have lots of things to think about in terms of, I had the support. I didn't initially have to work, but that's not the reality for some people. Some people have families, some people have children, some people have to pay their school fees, some people have to think about debts that they already have that they have to pay. So those are real issues that you have to think about. Some people have children that they have to think about childcare. So it's not like they have adult children that they can. So those are real issues that you have to really think about. How do you progress in spite of these issues? They're not stoppers, but sometimes if they're not managed properly, they can actually be like a challenge for you as well. So you have to have a plan and work towards achieving this plan. Like we said, sometimes those plans don't actually pan out the way it is, but it's always good to have a plan because it gives you direction. You have to identify key pathways. So what I said, identify key pathways within your plan is that, for example, if you're thinking about, after my master's, I want to stay in the UK, what does it require to stay in the UK? What are those key things that I need to do in order for me to be able to stay in the UK? Those are key pathways you need to identify before you get there and try to put yourself in that pathway so that you're actually on your way to achieving it. Time is key. Your timing, how you manage your timing, how you get information at the right time, it's very important because you need that to be able to achieve your goal as well. Failed plans isn't the end. That's why I tell people, sometimes you have a plan, it fails, but that's not the end of the world. It's about you realigning yourself as well. It's about you course correcting, trying to find out, okay, this didn't work. What's the other way? What's the other alternative? And above all, it's about trusting. That's one of the advantages we have is that God can actually trust. God will act regardless of however our paths are out. So I think yes, that's it.
I'm not to speak this board. Does anybody have, can I assume that? Yes. Yes. Do we see an line? Okay. All right. So I'm going to. If you have questions, can you please raise your hand, or if you want me to read it out? And to whom are you asking the question? Okay, I'm going to start with you. Please tell us who you are, and then what's the question.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Olalukan. So I would like to ask. My question is not directed at anyone in particular. It will be answered by the last speaker and maybe those people online. So you mentioned something about continuous planning, okay, and you made mention of recognizing your real issue. So I'm looking for how to marry you recognizing your real issue. You know, that subheading has some items broken down underneath, so like families and all that. Some of us came with our children and all that. So I would really love to know, because like you said, during your own time, you got support and you were single and all that. So how do you marry your real issue with your education? How do you really connect it together such that it will not be like an obstacle to your education? And second thing is, how do you manage, I put it down here as volunteer, connect to no money, connect to better life. So a lot of Nigerians that has moved down to the abroad came for a better life mostly, and it is very good to get to volunteer such as so that you can get experience and you can stand out among others when you are searching for job. But you don't have money and you can't survive without money. You can't beg. So, and you have limited time. So you need to put all these things together and come out on top. So that is the question, and I really want to know if you can put more light on it.
Okay. Thank you very much. So let's answer that question, then we'll move to the next question.
Best way I can answer that question is, number one, some of this, I don't want to use the word medicine after that. Some of these plans should have been made prior. That's the honest truth. But I didn't want to put that up because that's already past. It's about moving forward. That's why I said continuous plan. Because if you had an understanding of the community, for example, that you're coming in Nigeria, we have a lot of support. So if you had an understanding of the kind of community you're coming into, your planning would be probably slightly different than how you came in and what you met. So that could even also fall under the culture shock that we were talking about earlier on. And to be honest, sometimes, even in the issue, like I said, in my own case was different about how I was and where I was and things like that. Sometimes, even those kind of progressions, you don't need to be in that desperate situation because it becomes a bit difficult. So for example, when you're desperate when your situation says, I need money, I need to feed, I can't, it's harder to think about volunteering. So even though you know that volunteering could actually help you, you find out that you just can't do it because the time you have, you want to use to be able to make money. Now the honest truth is that sometimes there's really no way out of it. If you need support, you need support. And that's why, for example, the UK, they would not insist that if you're coming in, they would expect that you come in as a family in terms of if the husband is schooling, the wife should be coming in because there has to be that form of support. So that once one person is schooling, the other person, especially if they're children, the other person is taking care of the children. But the problem is sometimes we don't put that plan into place because of where we're coming from. So when we now come in, it becomes a major challenge. And what it becomes is that it becomes a strain on, for example, on you as a person and whoever is around you. So, but unfortunately, there is really no way out of it other than having to find a way to get that kind of support. So sometimes it might just be you doing that extra work. You might not have the time to do the volunteering that is needed, but you need to do that extra work to say, okay, if I'm going to make this X amount of money, how much do I need, for example, if I can't get childcare unpaid, how much do I need to pay to get the childcare? But I think most of all, the most important thing is that we have God. So if it's about praying that God should shorten that hard period, yes, it could happen. And you find people having those kind of testimonies of getting a job almost immediately, or even while they're still doing their masters, they get a job. And that kind of helps to ease out. For some people, it may not be that, but it may just be that they may have support. They may have somebody who is willing to come and help and take care of the children and then see how they can actually, manage it. So there's really no, this is the answer to it. It's just how you manage it at time that actually gives you that. I don't know if anybody else.
Yeah, I would like to share my own experience. So I came into this country, married with 2 daughters, and then I came first before my husband and daughter joined me. So yeah, what I would say to help you with the scenario you created, you need to know the timing, you prioritize. There is time for voluntary work, there is time for you to actually face the study. For example, you're a student, it's expected that you are meeting up with your you are passing your assessment. So I would say it's not the time to do voluntary now. This is not the right time. What you should focus on is getting your assessment, doing the right, like passing your coursework or your exams. And then if you are married, like my husband was the one doing the work, and then I was going to study. Then I only had to do, after about 6 months, I got a job, only weekend. And I was doing this night work. So I would do the night work because it was very easy for me to do it because I don't want to miss study. Attendance is very key, especially now for international students, like those of you that are in RG with attender R. As we take it, it's going to UKBA. So I will encourage you, don't miss your attending lectures or seminars. So don't do the voluntary now. When you are maybe about finishing, and let's say, depending on the plan you have, if you want to further your study, you would have already had that plan that, okay, I want to maybe do PhD after that, or depending on your course. Some like if you're doing all these health courses, it's easier to get job. So depending on your plan, you know, okay, is it the time for me to now, during the holiday, you can now volunteer. So know the timing. Now is to study, prioritize. What is that main thing? What is the reason why I'm here? As far as RG or Aberdeen Uni is concerned and the UKBA, you are here to study. I know we have other reasons why we are here, but don't let them know that. You need to show that I'm here to study by your performance. and then your family, like you said, let the other person that is not studying do most of the work. Another idea I could give you for the child care, have friends that are also having family. So you could, when I'm working, then the other person will look after it, so that you save the money for child care because it's so expensive. So the other time, the other person is not working, you know, you do that to help yourself. So I don't know, that's just something I want to say. There is time for it. Okay.
Thank you very much. Just a quick point about the volunteering. I know thoughts might be going through some minds. We are talking about how to eat here, talking about volunteering, how can we volunteer? But, well, before we started, I was having a discussion with a group of people, and they were talking about every job is asking for UK experience. Volunteering is an excellent way of putting UK experience on your CV. And it's not as hard as you might think. Towards the summer, every year, I'll just see a random student knocking on my door and asking me, would you have some job I can do for the summer? And it doesn't have to be complex. It can be something as simple as data entry, helping me to enter data into an Excel spreadsheet. That goes into their CV. They're not getting paid, but it goes into their CV. So things like that. It doesn't even have to be outside your university. Go and meet your lecturers. Many of them, their job, you know, I said something, that 20% of our work is what we lecturers hate to do in admin job. We don't like doing it, but we have to do it. So if a student comes and says, want to help you, by all means, go ahead. But it goes on your CV. Is an unpaid role, is volunteering, but it goes on your CV as UK experience. So little things like that, because many of you have been searching for jobs for months. The question is, those months you didn't have jobs, what have you been doing?
Searching for a job.
Yeah, but that's not going to go on your CV, is it? Searching for a job doesn't go on your CV. Thank you very much for those important points. Okay, another question here, right? Okay.
Good evening, all. My name is Felix. I have 3 questions to ask. We are all preparing for our coursework, and we've been given for December to submit. My question is, like, while I'm writing my coursework, what are the key points I can write as a student that will make me to stand out in that my coursework? And also, I keep wondering, we are 70 in my class. Would the lecturer have time to read everything?
Yes.
That's my point also. That's point 1. And also, while referencing, I have discovered that, like, multiple reference, like some journal. So I'm confused which one to use, which of the reference to cite. That's question 2. And the last one, like, do I need to paraphrase after I've, like, cited the reference? Is there any need to paraphrase it? Thank you.
So I'll address the first 2 of your points, and maybe somebody can speak about referencing. I can't too, but I don't want to hog the mic. So in terms of your, now I'm trying to remember what your first question was.
Like the coursework, you're about to submit. So how
Yes,
to make it
in fact, that's a very good question, because that is what distinguishes the Nigerian system from the system here. In Nigeria, if you write down all the facts, you get all your marks. Here, if you write down all the facts, you stand before a panel for plagiarism. Yes. Because here, generally speaking, I know you're all in different departments, but I'm in the medical field. When we ask questions, we don't expect you to go and write what's in the textbook. If I wanted to know what's in the textbook, I pick up the textbook and read it. That's not your job. Your job is, I think it was Daniel that mentioned it, your job is to synthesize data and critique it. This is what I mean. You have these facts from different places, you summarize, and then you put down what you think. It's what you think we're after. We're not after the facts, we know the facts. Your lecturers know the facts. That's not what we're after. So if we ask you question A, or if it's an essay, you have a little blurb for the essay. What you should do after writing your essay, I did this for somebody just a couple of weeks ago. They sent me their essay after writing. I'm not saying you should, don't send me your essay. But what I now told the person was, mark your own script. So you put down the question the lecturer has asked beside your essay, And then for each question, you say, okay, they talk about discuss this. Where in your essay have you answered that question? Critique this. Where in your essay? You have to do that for every single point. If you haven't done that, you haven't written anything. That's why you need to plan. You need to plan. If you do a crash course here, you get crash mark. There's no way you can do it. You have to plan. Your essay has to be ready days before you submit, so that you can mark yourself and say. And for many schools, I know we do it. When we give an assignment, we attach the marking scheme, not the answers. We attach how we are going to mark it. We attach it to say, see how we are going to mark it. You have to be able to mark yourself in your essay. Then you will know.
Okay. Just in addition to what he said, I will say it's very important. While writing your essay or coursework, the marking criteria is key. You need to open it and see criteria number 1, this is what I'm looking at, your grammar and everything, and to see that punctuation, everything that you've done it and how you structure your work. And then if it's literature review, you will know what we're looking at. How you need to look at the different literature that is relevant to the topic and how you critique. Look at the strengths. You have to talk about the strengths, weaknesses, any gap, mention it. And your voice, I need to hear your voice like what he was saying. And then I will say, please, if you don't understand the question asked, please go back to the lecturer and ask questions. Say, sorry, I have done this, I have done that, but I'm not quite sure what exactly you want us to do. The lecturer will be happy to explain. Don't just answer things like some students, like I noticed, you'll be back here, I'm like, this is out of point. It's not what we were looking at for. And then you see you are reading a lot, and then you are getting like 40 or even having to resubmit. So ask questions. Before you saw, if you are not sure, ask. And normally, during the lecture, if you've been attending lecture and seminars, for us, I speak about Aruji, what we do, everything we ask you, during the activity, we have given you similar things to practice. So if you are attending, it's easier. So you know what you are doing. But please ask questions. Follow the guidelines. Then talking about the reference, I want to say, know what your school is using. Different schools will use different things. RUGU, we are using Harvard, RUGU Harvard referencing style, not Harvard referencing style. They are two different things. Harvard referencing style will not start the author surname in capital letter. It will be just like a sentence letter, if you understand what I mean. But RUGU one, it must be in capital letter. So you need to familiarize yourself with the referencing format of your school. So if you are at uni, ask them which one is their own. And you need to know there are different ways of referencing a journal article, textbook, online resources. And if you're unsure, please, the library is their role. Go there and ask them, they will teach you how to do it. Things like ref work is important. If you know it as you are already reading, you are using it, and it will do it for you. You just upload it. Know the support services available, like academic writing. Go and have another workshop like this.
One of them thing to. Oh, all right.
Okay, Dr. Daniel, can you hear me? He can't hear you, right? Okay, please let me answer the question. There was a question he asked about if you have multiple journals that are talking about the same thing, how do I cite such journal? Which one, how do I cite the right one, right? How do I know which of them is right?
No, right? The one that we come, which one we cite? Is it the third party or the second one? That's what I mean.
Yeah, I can understand. So, a medical house publishes an article, right? And then there's another article also probably on PubMed, and then you're asking which one. How would I know which one is the right one?
Referencing. The
Yes,
person
I
you're
do.
taking the word from you is the person you'll acknowledge. Referencing is just saying whoever statement you have made that is not my own, I'm acknowledging this person. So that author, like with the one the idea that you got from the author, you acknowledge that person. And if you quote it verbatim, you need to also make sure you put the page number and put the speech mark to show that it is direct quotation. But I will encourage you avoid too many direct quotation. It doesn't show academic and like you know what you're doing. In my school, if you just do direct quote, no, there's a problem. It means you're supposed to be read it and say it in your own words. But in some cases, yeah, you might want to say, no, I want it exactly as it is. So minimize it. Don't read too many direct quotations. But when you use please put the page number, or it will be a problem.
I think just one more thing. If I understand your question correctly, if, let's say, Felix, you wrote a paper, and then I wrote a paper, and I'm looking at something you wrote, but in what you wrote, you are citing another person. So in that case, I am not going to cite you because it was not your work. I have to cite the original person. That means I cannot just look at your paper, I have to go and look at Danjuma's paper and then cite him. So if you wrote in your paper, Danjuma stated that 1 + 1 is 2, and then I am looking at your paper, I cannot say Felix said 1 + 1 is 2 because that won't be true. You didn't say it. You are referencing somebody else. So I have to go and look for Danjuma's paper and cite him. Was that your question?
Yes, that's...
You have to get the original source.
Yeah. Okay. Dr. Daniel.
Okay. Thank you very much. Although I'm deprived of pre-knowledge of what my colleagues in the building would have said, so as to reduce repetition of ideas, because I think they would somehow have said some of the things I probably would have mentioned. But one key thing when it comes to choosing a journal to cite is the source. Okay, so you need to first of all check the source of your journal and ensure that it is one of the renowned authority within the field that you are studying. So say, for example, for my friends in digital marketing, digital media and all of that, you are within marketing. It will be very important that if you are citing journals that are coming from the Journal of Marketing, yeah? So that would be an area to focus on. And you can also see journals from other publishers and from other databases. But the important thing is check the authority of the journal, because not every journal is actually a good journal. Some are just being created for creation's sake, okay? Just let it be that we are published. And the other thing to also look at is you need to check the year of publication, okay? So if you have multiple articles to choose from, one of the key areas to focus on is the year of publication. For example, you are not required to choose any publication that is more than 10 years or even up to that. So like in my university, you are being advised to choose between 5 years and less. So anything more than 5 years will tell you that that idea needs to be checked again. Yeah, do you get the idea? So check the authority of the source, check the year of publication so that you can filter your numbers of multiple options. Okay?
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Daniel. Okay, do we have more questions? Okay. No lady has asked any questions, so I'm looking at the ladies. Did you have any questions? Do you have any question I want to ask, especially on student-lecturer relationship? That's a very important one, and I think all of you should ask questions. That's what I'm asking. That's what you're asking, and it's not coming from the ladies. Interesting. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Obaidi Sylvester. Doro, cyber security RODU. My question is, one, a follow-up to this. If you rephrase maybe a citation, you rephrase it, is it that you immediately put the where you got it from on the write-up, or it would be in the reference section? You get what I'm saying? That's one. Then the other question is, I have one of my lecturers in class, when you ask certain questions, he will tell you, you are supposed to know this. This is something you're supposed to know in your undergraduate. And so there was a time that somebody put it to him that they, in not too pleasant way. Then it now came up that it is still that's the international students that came to meet him, or maybe other lecturers, that there are some people that are in this class that are not actually here for academic purpose. It's for them to leave their country. So as a result of that, if they are taking time to explain some of these things, it's like it's drawing back other people that are there to study. So because of that, they don't really give much attention to maybe you're asking other questions that they feel you're supposed to have known. So I think that it deprives the students from asking further questions, not to stupid or you're asking foolish questions. So I don't know, in such scenario, how do one go?
Okay, that's a very good question. Yeah. Actually, I'm saddened to hear that the lecturer will say you're supposed to know that. I will encourage you, if somebody said that during your meeting, do you not have staff-student liaison, like when you meet and discuss? These are the kind of things you should feed back to your class friend. And you need to go back, like in my school, you can't do that. The lecturer will be cautioned. You shouldn't make students uncomfortable, like you will not be able to ask questions. There are no foolish or stupid questions. At least at best, the lecturer can refer to, okay, I want you to read this if you think it's something, but not to say it that way. I'm just saying you should read it, but not go directly. You can do it either through if you are afraid, but you should. You can report it and say you ask question and this is what you got, because it's not right. Nobody should do that. I know I have heard that in all these competing cyber. I don't know their lecturer, but they are not very right. And I think students are not reporting. You people should report that so that they will call them to order. They are there to answer questions. So speak up. Okay? But do it nicely. Like, say it nicely, like, I don't know, is there a way you can help us that we wanted to find out this, and this is the kind of thing we get. Come from that angle and you see the something. Don't go like from, like, sense of entitlement and all that, even though it's good you ask. And secondly, you talked about citation. So when you say things in the main body of, you have maybe things your own way. So you got the idea, maybe you read my journal article and got an idea and you put it in your own way. For you not to enter into the academic dishonesty, you need to acknowledge me by writing one card 22. And then, as I've cited it in the main body, I need to see that full reference in the reference section. So you don't do that, you put it at the reference. As a matter of fact, if I'm marking your work, that is what we check. If I've seen something you cited, I'll go to the reference section and make sure they are there. If they are not there, you are losing mark. So when you put things there, put it there as well. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay.
If the from online, how will you capture the as lengthy as it is to put in the body of that?
There is a way to reference that. The way you ask me you need to understand reference. And if you have a referencing format, the librarians, they are there to train you. We do that during the induction, but I guess at that time you have so many information, you pick up, but go back and approach any librarian and say, sorry, I need help with this. There is online resources on how to reference online and how to reference journal, but you can go back on one-on-one. The librarian is the help they will do it, because you need to reference work. There is a way to do it. Like put access, so you will need to still reference.
Yeah, it's on the RGU website or also Campus Mondo. You will find them there. Okay.
Just a word about the staff-student relationship. Your lecturers are there. Most lecturers are there in multiple roles, but in most universities, one of the compulsory role of any lecturer or research fellow, senior research fellow, whatever, is to teach. So your lecturer is their job, literally, to teach. So when you ask a question, you remember I said when I was talking that, don't be afraid that a question is stupid. Ask the question. But it also helps if, you know, like I said, lecturers are human beings, and if you're asking something they feel, you should know these things, and you're doing it repeatedly, a human being can get irritated. And maybe then that's why they say, you should know this thing, why are you asking me something I believe you should know? They shouldn't say that. But if it becomes a problem, remember I was talking to you about, you can have your lecturer for a course, there's a course coordinator, there's a program coordinator. And the job of a course coordinator and program coordinator is to deal with issues like that. So if you have a lecturer that is consistently not being helpful, then speak to your course coordinator or the program coordinator about it. I don't know, there are different systems with different schools, so you can do that either through your class rep or you can do it directly. You can email. The email of everybody is available on the website, so nobody, if you want to find my email, just go on UniAberdeen website, type my name, you see my email. So it can't be hidden. You can email your course coordinator or partner, this is the issue you are having, and you think it's a problem, so you wonder if they're able to do anything before it becomes a bigger problem. Because really, every lecturer, generally speaking, is very helpful.
I would say be careful though, being an international student, don't just email and don't say it well. I'm a lecturer, there is a way you can get back a student without you knowing. I'm just trying to put that caveat. Your best bet is to either go as a support, like if it's been happening and this person will not, you can go through the student union. They should be able to assure you of your confidentiality so that they will address it. I would say be really going direct emailing, especially why that will happen. If you are not a very good student, like academically, when you have little problem, when they are marking, they put double lens to look for any kind of fault to catch you on that. I'm saying be careful. There's a way to go about it if you will go directly yourself. But you can go through the student union because you are from ROG. You can send that, or they'll do it on your behalf. Or when you are giving, we do the survey. When students give feedback, you can do that. If you want to go directly, ask nicely. That is what I'm saying. Don't come as if you are reporting the lecturer. I'm just giving you that brotherly, sisterly advice here. So that you don't just go, because there is a way a lecturer can still get a revenge without you knowing. Especially if you are not very good. But if you are sound, they can't get at you. So that is why I'm saying that. So be careful how you go about it.
Do you have an addition? Okay, all right.
So any other question?
I think because of time.
I wanted to just say one thing about plagiarism, as in how it's seen. Please, I will encourage everyone, because it's really seen very seriously. Write your course sheet on time. Try to check it yourself. At least in ROG, you have the opportunity to submit. You have the opportunity to submit, and then let's say you see that the Turnitin is too high, you can go back and do something, rework before and resubmit again. Because we will be able to see where it's coming from. So I think I'll show you things that you see, oh, that is how we see and see who and you be in trouble. It's not about the percentage. It's about, let's say, the whole paragraph is red. So I'm like, what is red? That means it's not yours. So please submit, finish on time, submit. It will give you the point, and if you see that, oh, this place like one paragraph is read, then go back and change it, do it, and then submit again. As long as you have finished before the time, you can still do that. So it's very important that you look, interact with them, mingle with them, because there are some ideas they don't know. Especially depending if you are looking at policy, if you are looking at legislation, they know it more than where you are coming from. Don't just click among Nigerians, because I see there a lot. Try to, like, what you not follow them to drink, but at least still follow them to study, learn from them, share, and be kind, be nice to your lecturer, and let them see you as hardworking. Ask questions. Don't give up. You will make it. We all came and we work hard. We are here. You also do well. I wish you well.
I think that was one of your questions, Felix, that we kind of missed about if the lecturer actually does look at all 70. Yeah, they actually do look at all 70.
Yes.
Exactly. Fortunately or unfortunately, yours could be the first, and that could trigger how they mark the rest in terms of, but the truth is they actually, lecturers that's their job. So, I mean, sometimes we look at more than that. I've had a course that I had to teach 250 students. I may not mark all 250, because I would have a team that I work with, but they actually do pay attention. And some are very, very detailed, that they actually look at your full stop, your comma, and things like that. Yes, they do. Yes.
And the thing is, some of them already, even though we do anonymous marking in RGU, but believe me, you will still know. Because that your student ID, we put it there and we know who we're marking. Some, even they know from the locals, they know English and other academic, and we're not there. So they take double like glasses to look at your work. So that's why I say, please try, if you can, you send it for them to proofread. I'm not saying you can do that. Do your own work, so that by the time they want to do all those things, you are addressing everything that is being asked. So it will be difficult for somebody to fail you. You don't want to fail, because a double fail, you are out of the course. So don't let the work hinder you from the reason why you're here. I know you have to work, but make sure you are, because if they not revoke your visa, that work you will not do. Study, you don't go back, you don't want that. So do your best.
Yeah, just final thing about the marking. Yes, we now it's even getting worse, because we are overwhelmed with the number of students. There, like I said, I did assessment for about 200 plus students. We still have to mark, but we have a system of doing it. We all of us have learned how to speed read. So if I have 30 assignments to mark and I have just 2 days to get through them, then I allocate 15 minutes to each one. There are things I'm looking for within those scripts. So we have an eye for it, and we know, if you see it, you know, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. So we look, that's why I say it's important. The same, what I told you to do is what we do. This is the question for your assessment. This is your essay. Where in your essay have you answered each of those points? That's what we're looking for. Has he answered this one? Where okay, they have answered this one. No, they didn't answer. That's what we're doing. So you can actually mark yourself before you submit.
That is, go straight to the point. Don't beat about the bush.
Like a follow-up question. You ask your question after the course of time.
Yeah.
Can we clap for the
yeah, so interestingly, the Sister Irene is today's her birthday, so can we clap for her as well? So, on behalf of the we brought her a cake. So we will sing, we were rushing it as fast as possible. So, we're sorry for taking your time, to keep the time here, and that's a script for you. So, we are not going to give, so if you want to follow us, we are on YouTube, we're on Instagram, and also on LinkedIn as well. So, our next, please, can you run the slide as fast as possible so that we can. So, some of you have been asking for job. We don't create job in Cree, but we have one of our leaders in church who is into job club. So please, you can snap the picture. Please bombard him with your mails. Please don't come here. Yeah. So our next event is Innovation is Simple, but we're going to make a tag to that. There's only 20 people that Elevator is going to allow to be trained on that. So it's only first come, first serve. So if you have ideas and you feel it can be, what innovated that the country can sponsor, all of that, that's what we're going to have it as well. So next, this is just a unit of this church. So if you don't have any church, I'm not advertising all of that, but if you don't have any church to go tomorrow, please don't come here, come to next door there. So we have 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Next slide. So happy birthday again to So actually I saw that on our status and I just wanted to create a surprise for her. You could see the passion at which she was talking, honestly, and we're going to increase you more and more in Jesus' name. So next slide, please. So we're on social media. I've said that, said that please follow us on social media. We're not collecting anybody's number, Follow us on social media. We see what we're doing there. So next slide, please. So join us, script. If you feel what we are doing, make any good things to you. We need volunteers, to help. All of that. We need ideas. All of that we are here for the community in terms of idea activation, in terms of career advancement, in terms of talent development, in terms of academics as we are here, and in terms of entrepreneurship, and much more to build the city. There must have been a reason why God allowed us to be here. All the men who change the world, they are always immigrants. All the people who change the world, they are always, Joseph was immigrant, Abraham was an immigrant, and Elijah was immigrant. Even our Lord Jesus Christ have to come from everywhere to change here. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you. That will do the round off.
Okay, Roger, please. We will now close this meeting. And then we'll take picture afterward, please.
And I want to say thank you for this surprise.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday once again. Thanks for coming, everybody. This is an impactful gathering. Let's not take these informations out of here without disseminating them. Most of us are coming through the school, universities, and learning laws. These are things our brethren have said today. There are things we cannot walk away out of this door without putting them within ourselves. If we go out with this information, you're going to be successful. And this is an environment that has to do with God. With God, all things are possible. But with this information, with God, it's going to be faster. So let's not play or joke around or go back to school or go back to our places, our home, and say, oh, it's one of those things we always hear. It's one of those slides. If we keep to these rules, also pray to God, everything is going to go fine. Let's pray, please. In Jesus' name, Lord, we thank you for this opportunity again to hear from you through us. Lord, we give you all the glory for having some of us to come here. Lord, this gathering, as planned, is to spread various important informations for each and every one of us that needs to hear them. Lord, most of us have come from Africa, from all over the world, to Aberdeen to study, to seek for greener pastures. Lord, we ask that each and every way, creed as a group has brought information to spread around to our brothers and sisters from Nigeria, from anywhere place in Africa. Lord, we ask that this message go through them in Jesus' name. Father, Lord, as a church, FNL, truthfully, we are open to receiving the brethren who wish to get this information through the church. Lord, we ask that, Lord, you help them. Help them. Help them. Even as they come to study here in Aberdeen. Lord, we give you all the glory as they go back home. Lord, we ask for open doors. We ask that this semester, as they round up their courses, they will come out with flying colors. Lord, we give you all the glory. Lord, we ask that, Lord, you help them too spiritually. Lord, they should always seek for your hands before they do anything. Thank you, Father, Lord, as we go back together. For in Jesus' name.